Okay, now we are recording. Okay, Beth, go ahead.
Ooh, I'm nervous now. Oh my gosh, we're recording. Okay, where was I? See, I lost my place. Oh, let's just go in and take a look at this this right here. Well, let's take a look at this. So this is, am I sharing my screen with this? Can you guys see this?
You're not sharing your screen yet.
Okay, so let me just right down
Like
here,
the
share,
green button at the bottom of your screen.
yeah, and then share.
There you go.
Okay. So I can't see you anymore, but this is what we were starting here. And so you have these various examples on this page of ideas, and you can see that there are columns, and the type is relatively small, usually about 9 point for something this size. And you're making a custom page so that you're leaving a lot of space around the outside for the designs that you're going to create with the special typography, custom typography using your initials. So you're also exploring the bleed. And I'm sharing my screen now, but I'm going to go back and show you something else about bleed a little bit. So
Can you raise the type size on that, Beth? Is it necessary that we can read that right now?
no, they
Okay.
this is just a picture of the, you have the PDF you can access through Canvas. And this one was handed out in class that you could get it in Canvas if you didn't get it in class. But this is just a little more explanation about that this is a bleed. So a bleed means like what we're just looking at with the magazines and everything that goes off the edge of the page has a bleed around it. So it's a major thing to know about if you're doing print, but if you are just in a virtual world doing things digitally or online, you don't encounter that very much. But everything else that you see that's on paper that's printed, um, like that, is usually with the bleed. So that is for that one. And then what I'm going to be looking at is right here. Let's see. So this is for Gary Marsh, who's in the Wednesday class. These are just sketches here about what this design could look like. All the different possibilities of what it could look like. Just these are just the thumbnails.
Can you make that look bigger, Beth? Can you make that larger?
So
Thanks.
these are the 6 thumbnails where you scribble around and start kind of where are my initials going to go? Where's the type going to go? Where am I going to put my columns of type? And then the next one is this one where you do what we would call a type comp. This is a comp showing where the type actually ends up, and the picture is a little headshot, and the type bleeds off the edge of the square. So you get the type flowing on and off. In the lab, I helped a couple of people who really made the type flow into their image. There were angles and things in their picture, like their shoulder, and they made the type, these big type images, flow into their image and off again. So this then is what Gary ended up doing for this one. Whoops. Him back here. And there it is. So when this gets trimmed, then right here, the trim marks that get printed out. These are the trim marks. And so this is where you would trim this off to make your the square. And let's see what this looks like. So this is the one that is then trimmed. So you kind of get a little square about your personal adventure with type. This has got, and the type could be a little bit smaller on this one so that there's more white space, as it were, on the outside. But it tells a nice story, and the initials dance through the story and kind of keep you on the page and keep your interest going. So it's all very personal, what happens here. So those are some things that when we look at
Beth,
yeah,
I think Zach has a question.
okay.
Oh, hey. Hang on. Let's see where. No. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to get rid of that. Anyway, so the only reason that Gary was able to do this was because he had the software himself on his computer, right? Knowing
Right.
Gary, I
Yeah.
just sort of think that.
Yes, but I want to just point out that this involves no software right
Oh,
here.
it doesn't?
This drawing on a page with a pencil, your ideas on a page with a pencil, and then typing your whatever you're going to write in here. Those are all things that this is not part of the computer thing, but you would be saving your, if you don't have Adobe, you're going to be getting Adobe, and so you would be doing the writing. It's a story, it's an original creative story that's about you, and it's got a word count, so you'd be paying attention to that, and it's got a format that is sort of columns, but you can see from this one that I'm showing up here, it's casual, so everybody's is going to be different. But this is the starting of it, and when you read the instructions in the on the project page, you can do this part, and then you can get to this part where you have a more complete sketch. In design, they call this a comp. A type comp would be a term where you have your hand-drawn imagery on a piece of paper that gives your client a clearer idea of what they're going to get. So all of these parts here, the ideas, also doing research about typography and writing up your own story is probably about half of the project. And then when you get into actually putting things together, when you actually start putting things together in design, then that's this part of the project. But you have the type written and some of your ideas, but there's a lot of free play with type and design elements as you're working on this, depending on who you are. So it might change totally from the comp that you drew to, so I'm just gonna, just out of curiosity here, this is pretty close. He was thinking about alignment. So right up here, the type and the I don't know, can you see my cursor in this? Maybe not.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
yes, we can see the cursor. Yeah, we see your
so-
screen.
So the cursor is going around this. This is just a sketch here, but when he got on the page over here, he saw that this T, the sharp line of the T, needed to align with the left side of the image. That it who started working on alignment. So again, it's those 4 words that we had on the board every day in class, every class, CARP. So remembering its contrast. So we've got
Alignment.
contrast here, white on the outside, and alignment right here. We've got our alignment, and we've got
repetition.
got some repetition going on with the type being all the same size, and
Then position, right? No.
proximity.
Proximity. I always forget that one.
Yeah, that's where things that you want to go together are closer together. So that's and that's though all those things are at play right here on this page. And when we go and look at the other examples, like we will go and see some other examples, that's also what's going on. Ultimately, this piece gets trimmed, so this is the final look and feel of it, gets trimmed on the trim mark. And virtually everything that goes off the edge, as I said before, like from postage stamps, not so much, but business cards to gigantic billboards have a bleed. If there's a color or image information that appears to go to the edge, it all goes beyond the edge and gets trimmed off. So that's one of the major realities of the print world that we're trying to help you get here. So, and then when you probably wouldn't have to do this, but let me just get this right there. Turning in the rubric and checking things off consciously that you did is another piece that shows me that you're really engaged with the project. You're aware of what you did. So that's part of that. So had the equipment.
I'm sorry, Beth. We didn't hear that last 10 seconds or so.
The last 10 seconds of
Yeah, whatever you said. Could you say it again?
what I said about the turning in the rubric. Is that, yeah, so this would be for us now, I think most students may have this handout. It's got a staple in the corner, so this was a handout from class.
And it sounds like Zach has a question right now.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say I can't really do that with Project 8 because I don't have a printer, so I can't really check all the things off. I guess I could do it with Sketch possibly, though.
Well, he just took a picture with his phone.
No, I mean, I can't print out Project 8. I can't print out the paper and then check the things off, but I could annotate it with an online program like Sketch.
Yeah, okay. So you didn't get the paper printout for this?
Print it out for Project 8?
No, 7?
Oh no, I did get the printout for that, but I'm just saying that with the current project, I can't really do that because I don't have a printer at home.
Yeah, so I don't either. So I understand. So we would definitely be going with something that would be more doable. So
I suppose.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that when we get to 8. But yes, thank you for bringing that up. It's important because we're kind of making up how we turn things in as we go along based on what students have. So you had another question.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I suppose I could use digital annotating program like Sketch or something like that, though, if need be, though.
Well, try it out. I'm all for experimenting. So if you wanted to experiment, then that would be really wonderful, because I'm sure that other students have the same question. So if you find a solution, then I would love to know about that.
All right.
Thanks for bringing that up. I have a little, let's see, where am I time-wise, John?
It's about 12, so we have 15 minutes before we take a break.
Okay. Well, I feel
Although
like,
we could take a break early if we're ahead of schedule. It's up to you.
okay, that would be okay too. So I just wanted to know how everyone who's here feels about the Project 7, and if you could do most of it or some of it. Let me know what you think about that.
I could sort of do most of it, more or less. I mean,
Well, I would take that to I would take this to a place where you can. Now the other thing is, when you mentioned that you don't have the paper printout, when you get to this part right here, if you don't have the paper printout, these are just little squares that you could put on a page.
I turned that in, though, I'm pretty sure.
I think so too. I think I have your grade and Canvas for turning in that part. So anybody who turned in part of anything, I have the grade started, and then if it's finished, then I put the final grade, the finished grade. But back to what I was saying about using, because it relates to project 8 too. So using this so these are just little squares, and then this is a 4-inch square here. So this is the 4-inch square that, or maybe it's a 7-inch square. It's whatever it says on the instructions, which you can read in the PDF from Canvas if you didn't get the printout, so you can read that part. So let's just go and see. So if you're, for instance, in Canvas here, and you go to modules, let's try to get this in student view. I haven't looked at this. So you would be looking at going to get your Project 7, and you, if you can't download it, then you would be looking at these instructions right here, and then looking and seeing what the project is. So that would give you a sense of what to do. And when you go in here, you would be
Looks like Zach has another question.
And looking at the, okay, I have to, oh gosh, I did something that I didn't mean to do, and I'm not sure how to get back. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Zach?
Oh, and one other thing, like while we're on this concept, since I can't really print those out either, this is sort of what I did for Project 8. I sort of drew the squares out on the page.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
And sort of did it this way.
Right. So having doing them as close to this as possible. Like these are squares, so you would use squares by using a, oh, you you could use your ruler, your letting ruler, and measure those squares, and then you would go and measure this square. And what I was trying to do is find out exactly what that square is, and that is in the instructions here, what that size is. And then I tried to increase the size of this view. John, how could I increase the size of this view?
You're in Canvas?
I'm in Canvas. I think I'm doing it now. I'm just, yeah. So let's see then.
Yeah, there you go. You're getting it bigger.
Yeah. And so what you would be doing is reading the instructions on this, and it's a 7 by 7 inch custom page. So when I said 4 before, I was wrong. So you would be following these instructions and seeing that there are suggestions for, and you would be turning this type into outlines so that when you do get your InDesign, again, that would be something that hopefully you can get, but conceptually, kind of going into the instructions to seeing what you could do if you had the software, and doing everything you can do without the software, which is making your sketches, having your ideas, writing your content, researching whatever it is, a typeface that you might be interested in, and looking at the examples in Canvas. So those are all things that you can do if you don't have the software yet. And so that's, and again, it's a very personal story. It's something that is really all about you. So that's kind of my favorite part of it, is how you remember your first contact with typography. And everybody has a little different story. And usually the reason we're in DM1 is so that we can learn the basics of digital media, and digital media is very involved with creativity, design, and invention. So creating stuff, and hugely involved with typography. So getting beyond the stage of knowing 3 typefaces or something like that, we make a lot of headway in the class to discovering a lot more. And we know the difference between serif and sans serif. So those are kind of the goals for exploring type and making it a very personal kind of thing. And noticing that the instructions give very clear idea about what the size would be, and how that compares with the relative size of the type and the number of words to the page itself, which is also part of what you have to learn as a graphic designer. You have to be really aware of what space certain things take up, and how to change the font if it's something that doesn't look right, where to go, having a hint about whether to go bold or to a serif or sans serif. All of those kinds of things are happening. So when we as teachers design this page, for instance, looking at the 7 here, looking at these letters here that make up this header, looking at all of these headings, looking at all of this body text, we have to make it all fit in the 4 columns that are on the page. So that's something that you don't learn overnight. But with projects like this, you have a start of feeling, looking, and then actually doing, and then feeling what's involved in putting together designed, specified type of page. So that's the graphic design part. And also the creative part, where you play around with letter forms and make things happen between the image of yourself and the way things go on in the, let's just see if we can, so this image right here, where we've got all this white space on this side and all the white space on that side, and the letters all coming up and getting darker and darker and darker to the face of the person who is the center of the whole thing, is how you do design. And then you've got something over here that takes your eye up here, and then it goes back around. So this is the sort of thing that happens when you're designing things, is you're trying to work for your client. Might be a newspaper, might be just a business card, it might be a brochure or a flyer or a poster or something like that. And you want to make people's eyes dance around on the page, going over the things that are important for them to see. So if you put something on the page that's unreadable because it has no white space, you just turn off your viewer, your reader, the person you're trying to reach, and they walk away from it. So the job that John and I have is to help you to be able to design that kind of thing, whether it's on paper or online. So you're really aware of how things go together. So that's what this project is about putting those different elements together in a custom column format to tell a story that's meaningful. And then at the very end, you put your name in a place where it might be different from usual. Sometimes you have something happening in the image that makes a perfect little shelf for it to go on. So those are all parts of the composition. Lots of different pieces. So that's why it says 20 points here, but it's 15 points, I believe. So I'll go by whatever this one says. Oh, this is from this is the old Project 7, so it was 20 points, and the current one is 15. So that didn't get put in Canvas. But you have the idea from looking at that and looking at these. This is it's a kind of major difference from copying a page exactly like we've been doing. It means a lot more to you because it's all about you. So you do as much as you can for that, and then hopefully the software will arrive and you'll be able to use it and experiment with that. So I think that's all I have to say about 7, but it is kind of it's a major commitment to talking about yourself and your own experience and all of those kind of personal associations with typography, and making a story about how that all evolved, and doing it visually as well as verbally in a written story. Okay.
So Beth, we have like a 2 minutes before break, or a minute before break. Maybe we could ask for any final questions on this Project 7, and then we could take a 10-minute break.
Yeah, please ask questions so that I can hopefully answer them.
Okay, well, I guess we should take a 10-minute break.
I hope that helped. Okay.
Okay, so it's just about 12:14. So come back in 10 minutes, and I'm going to stop recording, and I will see you guys. We will see you guys in 10 minutes.